The Awakening. The observation deck of the Galactic Federation flagship Harmony fell silent as High Admiral Veska entered. Her crystalline exoskeleton caught the starlight, casting blue reflections across the chamber. The 7 council representatives watched her with various sensory organs, some blinking, some undulating, all focused intently on the imposing Centauri leader. "Show them," Veska commanded, gesturing to her science officer. The holographic display activated, revealing an object floating against the backdrop of stars. It appeared unremarkable at first, a dark metallic structure approximately 3 kilometers in length with an unusual teardrop shape. Various protrusions and recesses marked its hull, their purpose unclear. 3 cycles ago, our deep space monitoring station in Sector 87 detected this object, Veska explained. It appeared suddenly, as if emerging from nowhere. "A new species?" asked Councillor Xath, his gelatinous form rippling with interest. "No," said Veska. "Something much older." The science officer, a slender Vraxian named Trill, stepped forward. His 6-fingered hands danced across the control panel, enhancing the image. The ship's design and composition match only one entry in our historical database. The council members leaned forward as ancient symbols appeared beside the image. "Impossible," whispered Elder Moza, the oldest member present. "Humans have been extinct for 10 millennia. "Apparently not entirely," replied Veska, "or at least their technology remains." The word human sent a ripple of unease through the chamber. Few species in the Federation had ever encountered humans directly, but all knew the stories. Humans had burst onto the galactic scene briefly, expanding rapidly, building remarkable technologies, forming tentative alliances, before vanishing just as suddenly. All that remained were ruins, scattered artifacts, and warnings. "Is it active?" asked Councillor Cree, her feathered crest flattening against her skull. "Dormant, but intact," answered Trill. "And there's more. We've detected energy signatures consistent with stasis technology. There may be living organisms aboard." The chamber erupted in alarmed chatter. Elder Moza raised his ancient appendages, calling for silence. "Admiral Veska, what do you recommend?" Veska's compound eyes reflected the holographic display. "The ship appears to be functioning on minimal power. It poses no immediate threat. I recommend we dispatch a research vessel with a security detail to investigate further." "The old texts warn against disturbing human technology," objected Councillor Xath. "The old texts also say humans were dangerous because they were unpredictable and resourceful," countered Veska. "But they were also brilliant engineers. If this vessel has survived 10,000 years, we should learn what we can from it." Elder Moza closed his 3 eyes in contemplation. "Who would lead this expedition?" "I will," said Veska immediately. "This discovery is too significant to delegate." 3 days later, Admiral Veska stood on the bridge of the Federation research vessel Seeker. Around her, crew members from 7 different species worked at their stations, monitoring the approach to the human ship. The massive structure loomed larger on the view screen with each passing moment. "Radiation levels normal," reported the sensor officer. "No detectable defense systems active." "Maintain distance at 500 meters, ordered Veska. "Deploy the scanner drones." Small, spherical devices detached from the Seeker and moved toward the human vessel, bathing its dark hull in pale blue light. "Admiral," called Trill from his station, "the drones are detecting an unusual energy surge from within the ship." Veska frowned. "Source? Unknown, but it's growing stronger and—" The view screen flashed bright white, temporarily blinding everyone on the bridge. When their vision cleared, the human ship had changed. Lines of soft blue light traced patterns across its hull, and several sections were now illuminated from within. "Status?" demanded Veska. "The ship is powering up," replied Trill, his voice rising with tension. "Systems activating throughout the structure. Weapons? None detected yet. But—" "Admiral," interrupted the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel." Veska straightened her posture. On screen, the image of the ship disappeared, replaced by darkness. Then, slowly, a face materialized, or something resembling a face. It appeared to be constructed of light points forming a vaguely humanoid appearance with two eyes, a nose-like structure, and a mouth that moved in sync with the words that followed. This is PATHINDR, Autonomous Intelligence System of Earth Vessel Designation EV-117. Identify yourself and state your purpose. The voice was oddly melodic, neither male nor female, translated perfectly into standard Federation language. Veska stepped forward. I am High Admiral Veska of the Galactic Federation. We detected your vessel and approached to investigate. The digital face studied her for a moment. Federation. Earth was not aware of any Galactic Federation at time of launch. Trill whispered to Veska, "It doesn't know." Veska nodded slightly before addressing the AI again. When was your vessel launched? Earth date 2157, June 14th. Murmurs spread across the bridge. Trill consulted his database. Admiral, according to our historical records, that would be approximately 10,231 standard years ago. The AI's face displayed what might have been confusion. Request clarification. Your statement suggests a temporal displacement of 10,231 years from launch date. That is correct, Veska confirmed. According to our records, human civilization disappeared from the galaxy approximately 10 millennia ago. The eye was silent for a long moment. Running diagnostic, checking stasis pods. Critical information. What happened to Earth? Veska looked to Trill, who quickly accessed the historical archives. According to our records, he said, Earth experienced a catastrophic climate shift approximately 9,800 years ago. The planet remains, but became uninhabitable for human life. There were colonies on other worlds in their system, but contact was lost with them over the subsequent centuries. The AI's face disappeared, replaced by internal schematics of the ship. Various sections illuminated in sequence. Stasis systems functioning at 97% efficiency. Crew life signs stable. Initiating revival protocol for command staff. Wait, said Veska quickly. Are you saying there are living humans aboard your vessel? The AI's face reappeared. Affirmative. Pathfinder carries 5,000 humans in stasis. The command staff of 5 will be revived to assess the situation. Revival cycle commencing. Veska turned to her crew. Alert the council immediately. Prepare a first contact team. Medical specialists, linguists, cultural experts. If these humans have been asleep for 10,000 years, they're going to need assistance adjusting to their new reality. Admiral, said Trill hesitantly, should we not wait for council instructions before proceeding? Veska's crystalline exoskeleton caught the light as she straightened. These may be the last humans in existence, Science Officer. We cannot leave them to face this alone. 4 hours later, Veska stood in the Seekers conference room with her senior staff and council representatives, joining via holographic projection. The news of living humans had sent shockwaves through the Federation. The revival process is complete, reported Trill. The ship's PATHINDR has requested a meeting between Admiral Veska and the human captain. This is unprecedented, said Elder Moses' hologram. We know so little about humans beyond ancient warnings and ruins. What warnings specifically concern you? Elder? Asked Veska. There is an inscription found on multiple worlds, always near human ruins, replied Moses. Beware the sleeping giant, for when it wakes, stars will fall. Many scholars believe it referred to humanity itself, or perhaps to their technology, suggested Counselor Xath. Admiral, scans indicate the human vessel contains energy weapons of unknown design. Most species arm their ships, countered Veska. That alone is not cause for alarm. The Council has authorized your meeting with the human representatives, said Elder Moses after a moment of silent communication with the others. But proceed with caution. Learn their purpose. Why was this ship sent? Why were these humans preserved? And most importantly, are they a threat to the Federation? The transmission ended, leaving Vesca to prepare for humanity's return to the galactic stage. The docking tunnel extended from the Seeker to the human vessel, creating a pressurized pathway between the ships. Vesca led a small delegation including Trill, a medical officer, and 2 security personnel. They walked slowly, sensors scanning ahead for any dangers. The tunnel connected to a large chamber within the human ship. The room was stark, utilitarian in design with minimal decoration. 5 figures waited inside, standing in a loose formation. Vesca's first impression was how small they were, fragile-looking creatures with soft exteriors and no natural defenses she could discern. Yet there was something in their stance, in the way they held themselves, that suggested strength of a different kind. "Admiral Vesca," said the central figure, stepping forward. "I am Captain Elena Chen of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. Welcome aboard." The human was female, with dark hair pulled tightly back from her face. She wore a fitted uniform of deep blue with silver insignia. Despite being recently revived from stasis, she moved with confidence and precision. Vesca placed a hand over her central thorax, the universal gesture of peaceful intent. "Captain Chen, I bring greetings from the Galactic Federation." Federation. The human named Chen exchanged glances with her companions. Earth was not part of any federation when we departed. "Much has changed," said Vesca carefully. "Your AI mentioned you departed Earth in the year 2157 by your calendar. According to our historical records, that was over 10,000 years ago." The humans showed little reaction. Perhaps the AI had already informed them of this fact. PATHINDR gave us a brief update on the situation, confirmed Captain Chen. "We're still processing the implications." He also mentioned that Earth is gone. "Not gone," corrected Trill gently, "but uninhabitable to your kind. We have limited records from that era, but it appears a combination of climate change and geological instability rendered the planet unable to support human life. The colonies in your solar system maintained contact for some time, but eventually fell silent as well." A tall male human with dark skin stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Marcus Webb, Chief Scientist. Are you saying we're the last humans in existence?" Vesca hesitated. "Based on all available evidence, yes." The 5 humans stood in silence, absorbing this. Finally, Captain Chen spoke again. "Tell us about this federation of yours." "The Galactic Federation formed approximately 7,000 years ago," explained Vesca. "It currently encompasses 47 sentient species across 213 star systems. We maintain peace, facilitate trade, and share knowledge and resources." "And what is your interest in our ship?" asked another human, this one shorter and more compact, with wary eyes and a hand resting near what might be a weapon. "Commander Ryu," said Captain Chen in a warning tone, before turning back to Vesca. "You'll have to excuse my security chief. Waking up to find everything we knew is gone has put us all on edge." "A natural reaction," acknowledged Vesca. "To answer the question, we detected your ship when it entered Federation space. As is our protocol with unknown vessels, we approached to investigate. Finding living humans was unexpected." Captain Chen nodded slowly. "I imagine it would be. You said humans have been gone for 10 millennia, yet you recognized our ship design. Have you encountered other human vessels?" "Only in ruins and records," said Trill. "Humanity is something of a historical mystery in our archives. Your species appeared briefly on the galactic stage, established outposts on dozens of worlds, and then vanished. The only remains are abandoned structures and scattered artifacts." "And warnings," added Commander Ryu. Vesca's compound eyes shifted to the security chief. "Yes, there are certain inscriptions found near human ruins that some interpret as warnings." "What kind of warnings?" asked Dr. Webb. "Various interpretations exist," Vesca replied diplomatically. "Most scholars believe they refer to some kind of conflict or crisis from your era. Perhaps you could provide context." Captain Chen crossed her arms. Perhaps. But first, I'd like to understand our current situation better. What happens to us now? To my crew? My ship? The Federation Council is discussing that very question, said Veska. But I can assure you, Captain, we mean you no harm. Your people will be treated as honored guests, your technology studied with respect, and your knowledge of the past would be invaluable to our historians. Studied. Commander Ryu stepped forward. We're not museum exhibits, Admiral. Of course not, Veska replied smoothly. I meant no offense. Your ship, however, represents technology from an era lost to time. There is much we could learn from each other. Captain Chen studied Veska for a long moment. Admiral, there's something you should know about our mission. About why Pathfinder was sent into deep space with 5,000 souls aboard. The human turned to a wall panel and activated a control. A holographic display appeared, showing a star map of what Veska recognized as human territory from millennia ago. Earth was dying when we left, Chen explained. Not just politically or economically, physically dying. Our scientists predicted the climate collapse, the geological instability. Pathfinder wasn't just an exploration vessel. It was an ark carrying the best and brightest of humanity, seeking new worlds to colonize. A noble purpose, said Veska. Yes, agreed Chen. But not our only purpose. The human captain touched another control. The hologram changed to show images of devastation. Worlds burning. Strange shadow-like entities moving across planetary surfaces. Fleets of ships engaged in desperate battles. Before Earth's environmental crisis reached its peak, we encountered something in deep space. We never learned what they were, only what they did. They consumed planets, energy, life itself. We called them the Void. The last transmission we received before entering stasis, said Chen, was that the Void had been contained in a distant sector, sealed behind a quantum barrier. Our mission was twofold: preserve human life and stand guard against their return. Veska's exoskeleton stiffened slightly. You believe these Void entities still exist? Chen's expression hardened. Admiral, we entered stasis with the understanding that we would be awakened if either we found a suitable world for colonization or if the Void returned. Since PATHFINDR woke us to meet you rather than to settle a new planet. You think your ancient enemy has returned, finished Veska. I think, said Captain Chen carefully, that after 10,000 years, something must have triggered our ship's protocols. And I'd very much like to know what that something is. The return. The Federation Council chamber hummed with tense conversation. Representatives from 27 species had gathered on short notice, an unprecedented event in recent history. At the center of the chamber stood Admiral Veska and Captain Elena Chen, the human commander looking small but resolute among the diverse alien forms. These accusations are baseless, declared Councillor Xath, his gelatinous body pulsating with agitation. The Federation has monitored all spatial anomalies for thousands of years. We would have detected these void creatures if they existed. Would you? Asked Chen, her voice calm but piercing. You didn't detect our ship until we were already in your territory. And PATHI and DR's sensors are specifically calibrated to detect void energy signatures. She gestured, and a holographic display appeared, showing a star map of Federation space with several areas highlighted in pulsing red. These readings were taken in the past 24 hours, she explained. Each red marker indicates a trace void signature, small now, but growing. Elder Moza leaned forward, his ancient eyes studying the display. If what you say is true, why have we seen no evidence of these entities? Because they don't start with direct attacks, replied Commander Ryu, standing at Chen's side. They seed themselves into a solar system, usually in asteroid belts or planetary rings, building strength before they manifest fully. Dr. Marcus Webb stepped forward, activating another hologram showing microscopic structures. The void begins as spore-like particles that absorb energy and multiply. By the time you can see them with the naked eye, they've already established a foothold. Convenient that only your technology can detect this supposed threat, said Counselor Cree skeptically. Captain Chen's expression hardened. 17 billion humans died proving this threat is real, Counselor. Our entire civilization collapsed fighting them. You can question our methods or our motives, but the void is not a fabrication. Admiral Veska moved to stand beside Chen. The Council should know that our science team has verified the Pathfinder's sensor readings independently. Something is present in those regions, though we cannot yet confirm its nature. The Council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. What do you propose, Captain Chen? Asked Elder Moza finally. A joint operation, she replied without hesitation. Your ship's equipped with our sensor technology. Target the infected zones before the void can establish itself fully. And if we refuse? Asked Scath. Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. Then we'll do it alone. But understand this, once the void takes hold, it spreads exponentially. You don't have the luxury of time for debate. The Council members exchanged glances, communicating in the silent way of species that had worked together for millennia. We will require time to discuss this, said Elder Moza. Take what time you need, replied Chen. But we'll be preparing for departure regardless of your decision. As Chen and her crew left the chamber, Admiral Veska followed. That could have gone better, the Admiral observed once they were alone. Chen shook her head. Politics hasn't changed in 10,000 years, I see. They're cautious, not dismissive, corrected Veska. The Federation has enjoyed relative peace for generations. The idea of an ancient enemy returning is difficult to accept. The void doesn't care what anyone accepts, said Chen grimly. It consumes regardless of belief. I believe you, said Veska simply. Chen studied the crystalline alien, surprised. Why? Because I've studied the ruins your people left behind. The warnings weren't just about human power. They were pleas for vigilance. And because PATHFINDR's sensors have detected something our technology cannot explain. That alone merits investigation. Chen nodded slowly. Thank you, Admiral. Don't thank me yet, replied Veska. The Council may still vote against intervention. Then we have contingency plans to make, said Chen. PATHINDR can operate independently if necessary. A single ship against this threat, questioned Veska. One ship is better than none, said Chen firmly. It's what we were built for. 3 days later, the Pathfinder hovered at the edge of the Centauri sector, its ancient hull gleaming against the starscape. On its bridge, Captain Chen and her crew worked alongside a small Federation team, preparing for their first encounter with the void in 10 millennia. Sensors confirm void presence in the Denali asteroid belt, reported Lieutenant Zora Lee, the ship's sensor specialist. Still in early development stages, spore concentration approximately 12% of critical mass. Perfect timing, said Commander Ryu. Any higher, and we'd need more firepower. Admiral Veska, who had insisted on joining the mission despite Council reservations, studied the tactical display. My government has authorized a support fleet, but they're 6 hours from our position. We won't wait, decided Chen. The longer we delay, the stronger the void becomes. She turned to the ship's AI interface. PATHINDR. Prepare the containment array. Target the central mass in the asteroid field. Containment array charging, responded the AI's melodic voice. 87% capacity. Dr. Webb approached Chen, speaking quietly. Elena, we should consider what happens after this. The Federation seems willing to help now, but once they have our technology. One crisis at a time, Marcus, Chen replied. First, we prove the threat is real. Then we worry about politics. Array at full charge, announced PATHINDR, ready to deploy on your command. Chen nodded. Fire. From the Pathfinder's bow, a brilliant beam of blue-white energy lanced forth, striking the center of the asteroid field. Rather than causing destruction, The energy expanded into a spherical field that pulsed with complex patterns. Containment field established, reported PATHFINDR. Void entities detected within the perimeter. Neutralization process beginning. The sphere began to contract, compressing the space within. Dark shapes became visible inside, writhing against the energy field. "Those are just infants," explained Ryu to the Federation observers. "Full-grown void entities are the size of small moons." Admiral Vesca watched in fascination as the field continued to contract. What happens when the field reaches maximum compression? The energy signature reverses, explained Dr. Webb. Instead of consuming energy like they normally do, the void entities are forced to expend it all at once. They essentially burn themselves out. The compression reached its peak, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then a flash of darkness, not light, but the absence of it, burst from the center, followed by a wave of radiation. "Neutralization complete," announced PATHINDR. No void signatures detected within sensor range. A cheer went up from the human crew. Chen allowed herself a small smile before turning to Vesca. "Now do you understand why Pathfinder was built? Why we carry these weapons?" Vesca nodded slowly. "Indeed. But this was one small infestation. You said your civilization fell fighting these creatures. Because we found them too late," explained Chen. "By the time we developed effective countermeasures, they had already established major footholds throughout our territory. This," she gestured to the now clear asteroid field, "is prevention. And prevention is our only hope." As if in response to her words, alert signals sounded throughout the bridge. "Captain," called Lieutenant Li urgently. "Multiple void signatures detected. 7 distinct locations across 3 sectors." Chen's expression hardened. "They're spreading faster than we anticipated. How developed are these signatures?" 2 are early stage like this one was. The others, 30% to 65% of critical mass. Ryu cursed under his breath. They'd been here longer than we thought. Chen turned to Vesca. "Admiral, we need that support fleet now. And we need more. Pathfinder can handle 1, maybe 2 of these outbreaks, but not all 7. "I'll contact the Council immediately," promised Vesca, moving to the communication station. Chen addressed her crew. "Set course for the nearest advanced infestation. If we can demonstrate containment of a mature void cluster, it might convince the Federation of the urgency." "Captain," interrupted PATHFINDR, "I am detecting unusual activity from the void signatures. They appear to be communicating." A chill ran through the bridge. "That's not possible," said Dr. Webb. "The void never showed signs of coordinated intelligence before. They were like viruses, dangerous but mindless." "Evolution," suggested Ryu grimly. 10,000 years is a long time. "Or adaptation," countered Webb. "Remember, they consume, including information." Chen's mind raced through the implications. If they've evolved, our containment strategy may not work as effectively. "The Council has approved the deployment of all available ships," announced Vesca, returning to Chen's side. "But many are research or passenger vessels, not warships." "They'll have to serve," said Chen. "We need eyes on every outbreak site." The next 12 hours passed in a blur of activity. Federation ships converged on the infected zones, while Pathfinder successfully contained a second, more developed void cluster. The process required more energy and time than the first, confirming Chen's fears that larger infestations would be problematic. As they prepared to target a third site, disaster struck. "Captain," called the communications officer. "We're receiving distress signals from the Federation research vessel Enlightenment. They were monitoring the void site in the Proxima system." "On screen," ordered Chen. The view screen showed chaos, a Federation ship under attack from what appeared to be living darkness. Tendrils of void matter wrapped around the vessel, crushing sections of hull and absorbing energy directly from its power systems. "That's a mature manifestation," said Ryu, his voice tight. "They weren't supposed to be this far along yet." "The Enlightenment has no weapons," said Vesca urgently. "They're a science vessel. Set intercept course, maximum speed," ordered Chen. "Prepare the pulse cannons." "Pulse cannons?" questioned Vesca. "I thought the containment array was your primary weapon." "Containment works on developing void clusters," explained Ryu. "Once they've manifested physically like this, we need more direct measures." The Pathfinder rocketed through space, its ancient engines pushing to speeds that impressed even the Federation observers. As they approached the Proxima system, the full horror of the situation became clear. The void entity had grown massive, a writhing darkness larger than the Enlightenment, which now appeared to be half absorbed into its mass. Around them, smaller void entities swarmed like parasites. "Life signs on the Enlightenment," demanded Chen. "Faint readings from the forward sections," reported Lieutenant Li. "Maybe 30 survivors." "Target the primary mass," ordered Chen. "Full power to the pulse cannons. PATHINDR. Prepare for precision fire. We need to separate that ship without destroying it." "Acknowledged, Captain," replied the AI. Targeting solutions prepared. The Pathfinder moved into position, its ancient weapons charging with energy that made the ship's hull vibrate. "Fire," commanded Chen. Brilliant beams of concentrated light struck the darkness, causing it to recoil violently. Where the beams touched, the void matter seemed to dissolve, leaving empty space behind. The entity released a silent scream, visible as ripples of distortion rather than heard. "Again," ordered Chen. "Focus on the tendrils holding the Enlightenment." The weapons fired once more, surgically severing the connections between the Federation ship and the void entity. As soon as there was sufficient clearance, Chen gave her next order. "Tractor beams. Pull them clear." Energy fields extended from the Pathfinder, grasping the damaged Federation vessel and drawing it away from danger. The void entity, wounded but still massive, began to retreat. "Don't let it escape," said Chen urgently. "If it reaches another asteroid field or planetary ring, it can replenish itself." "Containment array still recharging," reported PATHFINDR. 83% capacity. "We'll have to use the pulse cannons to keep it contained until the array is ready," decided Chen. "Maintain fire, box it in." The Pathfinder's weapons created a perimeter of destruction around the void entity, preventing its escape. For several tense minutes, they held the creature at bay while the containment array recharged. "Array at full capacity," announced PATHFINDR finally. "Deploy," ordered Chen. The blue-white energy field expanded around the void entity, enclosing it completely. The creature thrashed within the barrier, its movements becoming more frantic as the field began to contract. "Something's wrong," said Dr. Webb suddenly, studying his readings. "The compression ratio is slower than expected. The entity is resisting somehow." "Impossible," said Ryu. "Nothing has ever resisted the containment field before." "Increase power," ordered Chen. "Draw from auxiliary systems if necessary." The field pulsed brighter, contracting more rapidly. The void entity's resistance continued, but it was losing the battle. Finally, with a last desperate effort, it collapsed in on itself, producing the same inverse flash they had seen before. "Neutralization complete," confirmed PATHINDR. "No void signatures remain in this sector."